It usually starts in the quiet. Not when you're busy. Not when you're laughing with friends or running errands or checking things off your to-do list. No. It starts when everything slows down. When the room gets still. When your phone is face down. When there's nothing left to distract you from you. And then, like a movie you never pressed play on, it begins again. That conversation. That moment. That look on his face. That message you wish you never sent. Or the one you wish you did. You replay it. You rewind it. You pause it in your mind and zoom in on the smallest details, searching for something, anything, you might have missed. What did that really mean? Why did he say it like that? Was that the moment everything changed? Was it me? And before you know it, you're not just remembering anymore. You're reliving it. Your chest tightens the same way it did back then. Your stomach drops like you're hearing the truth all over again. Your heart breaks again, piece by piece, like it never fully healed. And the hardest part? You know it's hurting you, but you can't seem to stop. Because a part of you believes, if you just think about it long enough, if you just replay it enough times, if you just analyze it deeply enough, you'll finally understand. You'll finally get closure. You'll finally feel at peace. But what if I told you, that's the very thing keeping you stuck? What if the healing you're searching for is on the other side of letting the replay end? Because the truth is, you're not replaying it to heal. You're replaying it to change something that can't be changed. And I know that's hard to hear. Because when something ends in a way that doesn't make sense, when love turns into confusion, when someone who once felt like home becomes a stranger, your mind tries to protect you the only way it knows how. It starts searching. It starts solving. It starts looping through every memory like a detective trying to crack a case that was never meant to be solved. But here's what no one tells you. Not every heartbreak has an answer. Not every ending comes with clarity. And not every person who hurt you will ever explain why. And that is where the loop begins. Because your heart is asking for peace. But your mind is trying to build it from pieces that don't fit. So, you stay in the cycle. Replaying. Reanalyzing. Reopening wounds that were already trying to close. And slowly, without even realizing it, you become emotionally tied to the pain. Not because you want to be, but because it's familiar. Because as long as you're replaying it, a part of you feels like you're still connected to what you lost. And letting go of the replay feels like letting go of them. But I need you to hear this. Releasing the replay is not the same as erasing the love. It's choosing yourself over the pain. It's choosing peace over confusion. It's deciding that your mind deserves rest, even if your heart is still catching up, because you were never meant to carry the same moment, over and over. For the rest of your life, you were meant to feel it, learn from it, and eventually, release it. But that release doesn't happen all at once. It happens in small, quiet decisions, like the moment you catch yourself replaying it again. And instead of diving deeper into the memory, you gently pull yourself back, not with force, not with frustration, but with awareness. Because the first step to stopping the replay is noticing that it's happening, not judging yourself for it, not shaming yourself for still thinking about them, just noticing, I'm doing it again. And that moment, right there, is powerful. Because now you're no longer lost in the loop. You're observing it. And when you can observe something, you can begin to change it. But let's be honest, noticing isn't always enough. Because sometimes the memories feel stronger than your awareness. Sometimes they pull you in so deeply, it feels impossible to come back. And in those moments, you need something real to anchor you. Not another thought, not another analysis, but something that brings you back into your body, your breath, your surroundings, the present moment, because replaying lives in the past, but peace only exists in the present. So, when your mind starts to drift back into that moment again, pause. Take a slow breath in, feel it fill your chest, hold it for just a second, and then release it. Slowly, again, and again, until you can feel yourself here. Not there, not back in that conversation, not back in that moment, but here, because you can't change what happened, but you can choose where you exist. And every time you choose to come back to the present, you weaken the power of the past. But there's something deeper we need to talk about. Because replaying isn't just about the moment, it's about what the moment made you feel. Rejected, confused, unworthy, replaceable. And sometimes, You're not just replaying what happened, you're replaying what it meant about you. And that's where it gets dangerous. Because now, it's not just a memory, it's a belief. If I was enough, this wouldn't have happened. If I did something different, they would have stayed. If I was better, they would have loved me right. But let me gently challenge that. What if the replay isn't revealing the truth, but reinforcing a lie? A lie that says their inability to love you was a reflection of your worth. Because it wasn't. Some people don't know how to love consistently. Some people chase feelings instead of building something real. Some people take more than they give and leave when it requires depth. And none of that has anything to do with your value. But if you keep replaying the same moment through the lens of self-blame, you will keep arriving at the same painful conclusion. So, the question becomes, what if you watch the memory differently? Not as someone trying to figure out what you did wrong, but as someone who is finally seeing clearly what wasn't right. What if instead of asking, why wasn't I enough, you started asking, why did I stay in something that made me question my worth? That shift changes everything. Because now, you're not stuck in the past trying to fix it. You're learning from it. And learning is what allows you to move forward. But let's go even deeper. Because there's a reason your mind keeps going back. It's not just pain. It's attachment. To the memories. To the version of them you loved. To the future you imagined. You're not just replaying what happened. You're replaying what could have been. And that version. That if only, can be harder to let go of than reality. Because reality showed you who they were, but your mind keeps showing you who they could have been. And every time you replay that, you reopen the door. Not for them, but for the hope you're trying to release. So, stopping the replay also means grieving the version of the story that never got to exist. And grief is not something you rush. It's something you move through. But here's the difference. Grieving allows you to feel and release. Replaying keeps you feeling, without ever letting go. One moves you forward. The other keeps you stuck in the same emotional place, reliving a moment that has already passed. So, if you truly want peace, you have to decide, gently but firmly, I am allowed to remember, but I am no longer going to relive. That doesn't mean the thoughts won't come. They will. But instead of entertaining them, you acknowledge them and let them pass. Like clouds, they don't need to become storms. Because not every thought deserves your attention, and not every memory deserves your energy. You are allowed to outgrow the things that once consumed you. You are allowed to reach a point where your past no longer has access to your present peace. And I know, a part of you might be thinking, but what if I forget? What if I forget how it felt? What if I forget them? What if I forget the love? Let me reassure you. You won't forget what mattered, but you will stop hurting over what ended. And there's a difference, because healing doesn't erase your story. It just softens the parts that once broke you. Until one day, you remember, without reliving. You reflect, without spiraling. You think of them, without losing yourself. And when that day comes, you won't even notice it at first. It'll be quiet, subtle, like a moment where you realize, you didn't cross my mind today. Or if they did, it didn't hurt the same. And you'll sit with that feeling. Not sadness, not longing, but something new. Peace. Because the replay has finally ended. Not because you forced it to stop, but because you no longer needed it. Because you found something greater than answers. You found acceptance. You found clarity within yourself. You found the strength to move forward, without needing to understand everything that happened behind you, and that is where your power lives. Not in figuring it all out, but in choosing yourself, even when you don't have all the answers. So the next time your mind tries to pull you back, I want you to remember this. You are not your thoughts. You are the one observing them. You are not your past. You are the one growing beyond it. And you are not the woman who was once stuck in that moment. You are the woman who is learning how to walk away from it, in her mind, and in her life. And that is healing. That is freedom. That is you, finally choosing peace over the replay. If this message spoke to you, if you've been silently replaying moments that still hurt, This is your sign to finally give yourself permission to let go. You don't have to carry the past in your mind every single day. And if you're on this healing journey, make sure you subscribe. This is your safe space to rebuild, rediscover your worth, and create a life that feels peaceful again. See you in the next video. Thanks for watching.